Mubarak to one and all. Dear students, I hope you are all fine and doing well for yourselves, and I'm sure missing the school as well. Dear parents, we are proud to welcome you to school in September and welcome to another video update for the same. If, like me, you're waiting for the news that school will be opening again apparently as normal from September, this is because our government considered it is now safe to resume schools. Our shopping streets are opening up, malls are opening up, and life is kind of getting back to normal. So I'm going to tell you why we are going back to school, what will be the same, and what will be changing to keep children safe in school. Our ministry believes that schools will be much safer, as there are much better testing and tracing facilities available, and our Crown School, like any other school, will also be equipped for any kind of contingencies that could arise. Research also shows that it is better for education and schools to open up, and better for the mental health and well-being of all involved. Also, the effect on the health of young people getting coronavirus is very slight. Hooray! We are going back to school. So, what's going to be the same? You will be taught in your groups like before, but the year groups may be kept apart from another year group as much as possible. This might mean you will stay in one classroom and teachers move around, and you will have staggered lunch times and staggered break times, as well as staggered start and finish times. But you'll be delighted to know that your school canteen services will be operational as usual, but with packed lunches and utmost safety conditions as prescribed per the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health. Your teachers will be excited to know that you are all expected to come in your regular school uniform in September. But our Crown uniforms are changing, so all of you will be coming in a new Crown school uniform. Those who were in Crown last year will continue to use the same uniform. Extracurricular activities such as art, music and robotics will be delivered through distance learning platforms, following social distancing norms and the health and safety guidelines. Okay, so all that sounds normal. But what about all the changes schools have had to make to protect students against the coronavirus? Let me give you some insights about what we are going to do different in areas of our school functioning. First, physical distancing procedures under the school hygiene and safety procedures. Classrooms will be set up to accommodate reduced capacity. The student desks will be set at a safe distance of 1.5 meters. Physical markings used to ensure the desk remains in the current location. There will be a designated table and chair, and no students will be allowed to swap that place at any point of time. Teachers will be positioned in front of the classroom with a distance of 1.5 meters from the front row desk. Because of classroom capacity restriction, there may be a need to change the classroom layout. And therefore, the maximum capacity that is allowed in our classes from grade 1 to 9 will be 15 and 12 for KG classes. We'll be using dividers that were needed to separate the entry and exit points. Signs on all doors will be put up to make you aware that this class can take the maximum capacity of the number of students as mentioned earlier. Schools will be encouraging a paperless strategy and an elevated use of technology in the educational provision to minimize contacts. The toys and other common resources that are used by our KG students, it will be washed and sanitized before being moved from one group to the other. In the corridors, you will see safety markings throughout. Students will be monitored to ensure adherence. One-way pedestrian floors will operate and will be marked out accordingly. All elevators in the school will also have markings on the floor that indicate physical distancing, and users must comply by standing on these markings. In the canteen area, you will have the seating arrangement clearly marked so that no students will be permitted to sit directly next to one another. The physical distance of 2 meters will be kept in the canteen area. Staggered break times will be used to reduce capacity, and schools will be operating a pre-selected and pre-packed lunch service with no live cooking taking place. Our school prayer room will also make sure that the teachers will not be using the student prayer room area, and students will need to bring their own prayer mats to school. A safe distance of 2 meters is also kept in the prayer room. Students should be wearing masks in the prayer room, and the prayer room will be cleaned after each use as per the guidelines from the concerned authorities. As far as using other school facilities are concerned, including any soft play or outdoor areas, all will be sanitized regularly as per instructions from the health authorities. The school library will be an important area to observe social distancing. There will be a staggered entry to the library, and disinfection between lessons will take place. There will be 1.5 meters physical distancing between students in the library, and the librarian, the support staff will be wearing masks and gloves and using hand sanitizer at all times. The library counter and equipment will be sanitized hourly. Fabric-based books or books with material will be now removed from the library. All used books are kept in a differently labelled container for disinfection before reusing them. Online search and borrowing of books will be encouraged by our Crown School, and we have increased the capacity of online books this year. A book drop-off container will be designated and clearly labelled and kept in the library. For cleaning and hygiene procedures, our school will conduct a review of all potential frequent touch points, including door handles, light switches, handrails, taps, wash basins, toilet seats, etc., and will be sanitised as per the instructions given by the Ministry of Health. The cleaning staff will wear the required personal protection equipment for all cleaning activities. The waste management for the gloves and masks will be as per the standard advice by the Ministry of Health. The common areas in the school will be cleaned and disinfected every hour or after every use. Special restricted safety precautionary measures will be maintained by the school towards subcontractors in charge of clean-up and hygiene service providers, with a regular assessment on their compliance. Wherever possible, we will be using well-ventilated natural ventilation, which will include the opening of windows in between lessons. For students arriving and leaving school, we need to tell you that students will arrive and leave at the predetermined start and finish points, which will be different for KG classes and different for the children in grades. These timings will be informed to you very shortly in the next video update, as soon as there is approval from the Ministry of Education. Parents, however, are not permitted to enter the school premises, but they can drop off or pick up their children in designated points. We will allocate entrance and exit points and implement a detailed traffic management plan to ensure the safe drop-off and collection of students. A trained security person will be present at each point to support traffic flow and ensure health and safety measures are followed. One family member or guardian is allowed to enter the school facility for drop-off or pick-up. People with a compromised medical condition, including the elderly, should not come for drop-off and pick-up. Parent drop-off and pick-up at one designated area and designated timings with no interaction inside the school will have to be adhered to. There will be no access to the rest of the school facility by family members or visitors. The time limit of 10 minutes in a designated area to pick up and drop off with no crowding and maintaining 1.5 meter distancing at all times is mandatory for picking up and dropping off children. Upon arrival at school, students will pass through several designated entrance points where temperatures will be checked. Additional temperature checks can be conducted by the medical team as and when required throughout the day. Individuals having a temperature of 37.5 degrees will be taken inside, moved to a designated segregation zone or the isolation area. Transportation will follow a different norm. Based on the delivery model, there will be a rescheduling of transportation time. But the buses will be sanitised daily with hand sanitisers installed in all buses. Specific entrance for bus and private cars will be issued by the school, but capacity will not exceed 50%. The temperature will be taken prior to entering the bus. Students will not be allowed if fever is apparent, and parents have to wait until the bus departs. Students and parents' protocol will be provided by the school shortly after ministry approval. The drivers will practice all safety precautions and protocols as issued by the local authorities. If the child begins to show symptoms while taking the bus, the child is considered a probable COVID case. An immediate measure would be to ensure the child is seated 2 meters away from the rest of the children. The bus attendant will inform the health and safety in charge, who will communicate with the administration and parents. If the trip was a drop-off at home, the child will be dropped off first. If the trip was a drop-off at school, the child will be isolated and sent back home. The child will not return to school until the PCR result is obtained. If the result is negative, the child should not return to school until symptom-free. And if the result is positive, the trace contacts of the child, including staff and other riders on the bus, will be considered as close contacts, and the protocols for them will be applicable. For textbooks and uniform distribution, we will send out a detailed letter in the next video update as to how we will have the textbook and uniform distribution to avoid lines or crowds of parents. This will be planned after the school day and when students have left the school premises. The books will be properly packed and sanitised before the distribution process takes place. For toilets, there will be clear rules for cleaning. The school will have to ensure that there is no crowding at any time. Staff or students who travel must adhere to the UAE authority requirements, including self-isolation and testing requirements. A travel declaration form and a self-declaration form is mandatory documentation to be sent to school. We will issue this guideline in our next video update. For student affairs, the Crown School will make sure it has continuous awareness sessions, so all students ensure that they know what the health and safety school protocols and measures are. We will also have a briefing on the academic programme and the plans before the start of the academic year. The orientation date will be issued in our next video update. Please make sure that you attend this session. It will probably be online. Please wait for more instructions. We as Crown School will continue to provide academic support programmes for students who are slow learners and for those who are academically weak to ensure they have the skills and knowledge necessary to complete the learning. Do not think our model at any point of time will take away the ownership of the school to ensure that the learning takes place. Crown School has formed a COVID-19 task force. This task force will be informed to you in more detail in our next video update, which will include the operational team, the academic team, and the safety team. Managing a potential COVID-19 case or a suspected case and details about our clinic will go to you as a separate video update so that each parent knows that it is the school's responsibility to ensure that students, while they are in school, are safe. And as Crown School, we have taken all precautions to maintain complete safety of students under our care. Also, it is recommended that in Crown, every student carries a coronavirus safety kit comprising 2 face masks, tissue papers, some wet wipes and a sanitizer. There will also be much more cleaning around the school. Once you leave a room, it is more likely to be disinfected, especially if there are communal rooms like sports rooms and the dining area, etc. In fact, you will dine in the classroom so that you don't mingle with other year groups. Teachers will give you your own spaces outside so that you are kept away from other year groups. There will be a lot more PE outside, which will prevent the spread of the virus. Teachers will not be allowed to give you any pens or pencils, so you need to bring your own equipment, otherwise it'll be difficult to learn. In order to keep everybody safe, our schools will consider a change in the behaviour policy, because to break rules during coronavirus, for example spitting, is potentially life-threatening. Students will have to be extra careful when dealing with their peers. For example, fighting is no longer a matter of injury, but also could transfer the virus. So, students, when endangering others, are likely to be treated very severely. Finally, our school has put an emphasis on core subjects and has made blended learning a model of delivery. There will be 2 days of face-to-face classes and 3 days of distance learning classes. While activities are considered crucial by our Crown School, it will also be blended as per the availability of slots considered after core subject allocation. Exams will be planned as normal and will be communicated to you from time to time. So, what's the summary? What will class sizes look like? Class sizes will be potentially 15 students for graders and 12 students for the KG. Will students need to social distance? Obviously, yes. There are social distancing norms and we will have to follow them. Will exams still happen? Of course. It will happen, and it will happen under the social distancing norm. Is it safe to return to the classroom? The government says yes. COVID-19 infection rates are falling and new guidelines have been developed with medical experts. So, what COVID secure measures will school have? Regular cleaning and hand washing, face masks, and all other safety precautions mentioned in this video. What happens if there is a coronavirus outbreak? A special protocol has been designed if there is a coronavirus outbreak, and the schools will be following the same protocol across the UAE. I thank you for viewing this video, and I'm sure that it must have given you the confidence that the country, UAE, is ready to welcome its students in September to schools. They have done due diligence, and the medical team has given the right guidance to schools to ensure all of the schools follow the protocol under the Ministry of Health guidelines. We at Crown School are super delighted and waiting for September. It's been a long time and a long way to see our dear students. Come back soon. We are waiting for you. For any queries, please dial our helpline number 06742 3222 and ask us questions for any doubts you may have. This is the time where doubts need to be cleared. For parents who are still in doubt to enroll their children for a direct face-to-face schooling, you can alternatively opt for our distance learning program. So, see you soon and see you in the next video update. Thank you very much. God bless everyone.